Read the directions and directly you will be directed in the right direction.
Alice in Wonderland, yeah.
Exactly. It's from Alice in Wonderland. And, it might honestly be one of the greatest lies ever written about the human experience.
It really is. I mean, it makes it sound like this perfectly simple, logical equation. Right. Just input the data, get the result.
Right. But, think about the last time you were in a strange city. The sun is going down, your phone battery is, at 1%, and you are just profoundly, hopelessly lost.
Oh, the illusion of simplicity just completely shatters.
Yeah.
Instantly.
It really does. So welcome to the deep dive. Today we are unpacking the surprisingly complex mechanics of how we navigate the physical world around us.
And we've got a really great stack of sources for this one.
We do. The mission of this deep dive is to synthesize all of this, ranging from language learning guides on how to give directions, to map reading exercises, all the way to historical narratives of different towns. We want to understand the art, the psychology, and the history of wayfinding. Okay, let's unpack this.
I love that we're starting with the linguistics of it all. Because when we navigate familiar places, we are just on autopilot, right? But the second we have to explain our internal mental map to a lost stranger, that's when the complexity really shows up.
Yeah, looking at the sources from English Club and Learn English, giving good directions has some highly specific rules.
Very strict rules. The biggest one. When someone asks you for directions, it is absolutely not a time for small talk.
Right, which feels so counterintuitive.
It does.
Because my instinct, if I see someone looking stressed out on a street corner, is to comfort them, I want to be like, oh, where are you visiting from? Or make a joke about the weather.
Right, you want to be polite. But the guides emphasize using short phrases and basic English only. When a person is lost, their working memory is totally maxed out just trying to figure out where they are.
It's like writing code for a computer or, I don't know, following a super precise recipe. If you skip a step or if you throw in a bunch of unnecessary conversational filler, the whole program crashes. The person ends up even more hopelessly lost.
That's a perfect analogy. And a huge part of that code is clear pronunciation. The sources actually highlight specific phonetics you have to watch out for.
Oh, yeah, like the difference between the unvoiced sound in words like 30 or Thursday.
The TH sound.
Yeah, versus the voice sound in there, or father. If you slur those in a loud, stressful street environment, you might send someone down the wrong avenue entirely.
Exactly. And another critical piece of the architecture is using transition words. You have to separate each leg of the route. You can't just list off streets. You have to say, after that, then, next, finally.
You're building a sequence for them.
Right. And what's fascinating here is the psychology behind the English Club tip, to literally just repeat yourself.
Yeah, that stood out to me.
By repeating important details,
right,
like specific street names or where to turn, or by asking, did you get all that? You are basically transferring confidence to the lost person. You're giving their brain a chance to lock the data in.
And the sources also talk about giving a ballpark figure, right?
Oh, absolutely. People feel so much better when they have an estimated time.
Because if you just say, keep walking down this road the whole time I'm walking, I'm thinking, did I miss it? Am I going the right way?
Your anxiety is just spiking with every step.
Yeah. But if you say, it's about a 20-minute bus ride, or it's just around the corner, it completely changes things. Plus giving warnings like, stay in the right lane, or there might be construction, or telling them how they'll know if they've gone too far.
Yes. Telling someone, if you see the gas station, you've gone too far, is basically a safety net for their mental map.
But okay, all of this assumes you actually know where you're going. Let's talk about the chaos of getting lost, because the system fails all the time.
It really does.
In the Learn English Teens discussion forum source, you see that people basically rely entirely on technology now. Google Maps is our brain.
Right, but what happens when the phone battery dies?
Total panic. And the sources outline the sort of hierarchy of asking for help when that happens. Like, asking locals might actually just get you vague information.
Which is funny, because you'd think locals are the best resource.
You'd think. But no, the guides say it's best to approach traffic police. Because they have the most up-to-date knowledge on, route changes and construction.
That makes total sense. They are navigating dynamically every day.
But let's flip it. What if you are the person who gets asked for directions and you genuinely just do not know the way? The golden rule from the source is don't guess.
Never guess.
Right. But you also shouldn't just shake your head and walk away, because that's rude. You should offer an alternative, like saying, I'm not from here, and maybe suggest they ask a bus driver or a front desk clerk.
Or offer to draw a map if you kind of know the general area but not the exact streets.
But I want to push back on this a little bit.
Right.
Why do people instinctively try to guess when they don't know the way? Because we all do it.
Oh, definitely.
Is it just because it feels socially embarrassing to admit to a stranger that we have absolutely no idea where we are in our own city?
I think it ties directly into the social contract of navigation. People inherently want to be helpful. It feels good to be the local expert who saves the day.
Yeah, you want to be the hero.
Exactly. But the sources are very clear that a bad guess is fundamentally worse than no help at all. You're just sending them further into the unknown.
Right. You're making their problem worse just to save your own ego.
Basically, yeah. And part of the reason locals sometimes give bad directions is that knowing the layout of a place isn't just about where things are right now. Cities are constantly evolving organisms. To really navigate, you often have to know where things used to be.
Oh, I love this part. This takes us into the Oxford University Press sources on town history, mapping the past and the present.
Yes. The way towns change over time heavily influences our mental maps.
The sources gave some really cool contrast examples, like the town of Denton in 1964. Back then, it had buses, a cafe, a hat shop, a theater.
But no modern shopping center.
Right, and then they compared Georgetown and Old Bridge. Georgetown had a post office, but no hotels or museums, whereas Old Bridge had 2 supermarkets and a school.
You see how the amenities completely shift the focal points of the town.
And the craziest example was the story of Larry in Colchester.
Oh, Colchester in the UK.
Yeah, it's this old Roman town, and giving directions there involves literally navigating around ancient history. Like the guide says, you turn at the end of the street, you go straight on past this super modern hospital, and then suddenly, boom, you're at a Roman museum.
You are walking through different centuries on a single block.
But my question is, does knowing what used to be in a town actually help us? Like,
Yeah.
if I know where the town hall was 10 years ago, but it's not there today, does that help me understand the city's current layout better?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, it absolutely does. It's
Yeah.
all about linguistic mapping.
Linguistic mapping.
Yeah, how we use language to describe our environment.
Yeah.
The grammar of there was versus there is. When locals navigate, they don't just use geometry, they use shared memory.
Oh, like saying, turn left where the old hat shop used to be.
Exactly. The hat shop might have been torn down 30 years ago, but it still holds massive cognitive weight for the community. Our mental maps are deeply tied to time, not just physical space.
That is so wild. We are literally navigating through ghosts.
We really are.
Okay, so we've talked about time and history and cognitive load, but the OUP sources bring up another variable that can completely scramble our mental maps, and that is extreme navigation and how our emotional landscape changes everything.
Yes. Emotion is a massive filter for spatial data.
The deep dive goes into this ultimate getting lost scenario from the sources, the destruction of Pompeii.
Such a powerful example.
You've got these characters, Lucius and Olivia, they're just hanging out in the local market, a place they know perfectly, and then suddenly smoke erupts from the volcano Vesuvius.
And you can map out their emotional shift perfectly.
Right, they go from being totally happy and comfortable to scared to profoundly lost and just very worried because the physical environment is collapsing around them.
In that kind of extreme scenario, the standard rules of navigation completely fail. You can't say, take the first left, because the left might be on fire.
Yeah, the map is gone. And what's amazing is that they end up relying on a totally different kind of guide. They rely on Max the dog.
Right.
Max is friendly, and he essentially shows them how to escape the danger and find their families. They have to trust instinct rather than landmarks.
Because fear deletes the known map. But contrast that with the poem from the source about a day trip to London.
Oh, the London Eye poem. Here's where it gets really interesting.
Because London is a chaotic, massive city. Objectively, it should be harder to navigate than a familiar market.
Yeah, you're navigating Buckingham Palace, Hyde Park, Big Ben, all these bridges and theaters. But the emotion in the poem is pure excitement.
Exactly. There's a line about the London Eye. Don't be scared. It goes very high. It's pointing out a thrill, but it's a safe thrill.
People feel happy just to be there. Getting turned around in Hyde Park doesn't feel like a crisis. It feels like an adventure.
This raises an important question about how we react to our environment under pressure. Whether you are joyfully riding the London Eye or desperately fleeing Vesuvius, your mental map is entirely colored by your emotional state.
Yeah. Are you bored, excited, worried, scared? That emotion dictates whether you can find your way.
Absolutely. When the familiar becomes dangerous, We lose our spatial awareness and have to rely on immediate guides, like Max. But when the unknown is exciting, our brains can absorb so much more spatial data without panicking.
So what does this all mean? I mean, to bring it all together, wayfinding isn't just about reading a map, it's this fundamental human skill.
Hmm.
Whether you're giving a tourist a ballpark figure of a 5-minute walk, or you're tracking how a Roman town evolved into a modern city, or you're trying to escape a volcanic eruption.
Right. Navigating our physical world requires precise communication, shared history, and above all, a cool head.
It really does. But I know you had a final thought you wanted to leave everyone with regarding how we do things today.
Yeah, I do. Because in today's world, we rely almost entirely on digital screens and GPS to navigate for us.
Guilty.
Right? We all do it. We never really have to ask a stranger for the quickest way anymore. We don't have to look up and search for a large clock as a landmark.
We just follow the blue dot.
Exactly. So the provocative thought for you to ponder is this. If we stop verbally giving each other directions, and we stop describing our towns to one another, are we slowly losing our internal mental maps? If we never get lost, are we losing our deep connection to the places we live?
Wow. That is definitely something to think about the next time you blindly follow your phone down the street. Maybe try looking up and building the map yourself. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive, and we'll catch you next time.